This is the Nomadic Traveler Podcast. Welcome to Nomadic Traveler Podcast. I am your host, Jason, and our lovely and wonderful co-host is here, as always, Miss Nicole.
Hey guys, how's it going?
And we have a wonderful show with a young lady named Ashley Sprinkle.
Yes, Ashley's going to tell us about the wonderful life of teaching online as her way to travel.
I just like her name. It makes me smile.
Yeah, like a cupcake.
Like a little cupcake. We'll have to ask Ashley Sprinkle if she likes sprinkles.
She probably does not.
Because Miss Nicole loves sprinkles.
I do love sprinkles. I enjoy them.
Should we tell everybody about your nickname?
I guess.
Miss Nicole's nickname around here is Sprinkles.
Or Sprankles.
Or Sprankle.
But yeah, so we have a good show for you guys today. You guys are going to love hearing about this way to teach online. A lot of people are eligible for it. And then you can basically go anywhere that has internet access. So you will love it.
It's another way to make money while you travel.
Love it, love it. All right.
All right. Without further ado, we bring you Miss Ashley. Okay, we'd like to welcome Ashley Sprinkle to the show. How you doing, Ashley?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Doing very well.
Very good, yeah.
We like your last name. It makes me smile.
Thank you. It's so funny. People used to make fun of it when I was in middle school, and now that I'm an adult, everybody absolutely loves it.
Yeah. Yeah, I dig it.
I love sprinkles.
It's hard to say it without smiling, so.
It is.
Yeah.
So the big question is, do you love sprinkles?
I do occasionally.
Occasionally partake.
Do you like your cupcakes every once in a while?
Yeah, I do like them on cupcakes, but I don't like them on ice cream.
Me either. So I think Nicole does, but
I like them on everything.
yeah, see. And that's why we call her Sprinkles.
That's my secret nickname. Not a secret anymore.
All right.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit just about yourself, kind of how you got into this travel lifestyle. Where do you live? And what's going on?
I currently live in Brasilito, Costa Rica.
Sweet.
I live about 2 minutes walking from the beach. It's pretty awesome.
Ooh.
And a few years ago, I was living in Washington, D.C., and I was working at a public charter school, and it was just so stressful. I got sick. Actually, I was in the hospital for a little while because I couldn't go to the bathroom because I was so stressed. And once I decided to quit my job, I was better. I had no more issues. And I was looking for another job, and I was just like, you know what? I went on vacation to Costa Rica. I absolutely loved it. Let me go. And a month and a half later, I moved to Costa Rica. And
That's fast.
yeah.
Wow.
That's cool, though. I like it.
Yeah, I was engaged, and I sold everything, my car. I left my fiance and everything, and I just moved to Costa Rica.
Wait, you left the fiance?
I did.
Oh my gosh.
He didn't want to come with you?
You must have been too attached, huh?
He didn't want to come with me, and there were things with his family that I just really was not happy with, and I knew he wasn't going to change, and it just was like, there's something better for me.
Good for you, though.
I love
Yeah,
it.
I bet Costa Rica's amazing.
it is absolutely amazing. I love it. I don't plan on moving anywhere else. I mean, I'm going to travel other places. Like, I want to go to Bali for a couple months, but and then I have a trip planned with my dad when he retires. We're going to go backpacking through Europe. So I have a lot of places that I have planned, but this is home. So when I'm not traveling, I'll be here in Costa Rica.
Where did you live previously?
In Washington, D.C.
Okay.
Big change then, huh?
Yeah. So you still get the cold weather there.
In Washington, D.C.?
Yeah.
Yeah, but not here, and I'm happy for that.
Right. I know. Yeah, that's what I mean.
I bet, for sure.
Yeah. I love it here because it's just I live in a town, and everybody in this town knows me.
Mm.
Like, they all say hi. And one time, I have a dog, and I went on a trip somewhere, and somebody else was walking my dog, and everybody in town was like, "This is not your dog. Like, why do you have this dog? And where is Ashley? Because you are not the owner of this dog." And like, it was so crazy, and I just love it because it's such a community, and I have friends who help me out, and I have the locals that will tell me the coolest things to do, and whatever's happening in town, they tell me all the gossip, and so it's really nice. I never had that in the States because in Washington, D.C., I didn't even know my neighbors.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I absolutely love it. Plus, I get to practice Spanish. When I moved here, I didn't know Spanish.
Oh,
And
wow.
how long have you been there now?
Almost 3 years.
Nice.
Ooh.
Yeah,
So-
so now I can have conversations and stuff in Spanish, so it's nice.
That's a plus.
That's cool.
For sure. So
Yeah.
how did you do it all in like a month? Like, what about like a visa and like getting your job and placement? Like, how did you do all that in like a month and a half?
Well, so I didn't really have any plans when I moved here, other than I was taking a TEFL course, because I had an educational background from college, but I have never taught English as a foreign language. So I came here on a like a tourist visa, and I took a month-long TEFL certification course near San Jose. And during that course, I was able to search for jobs because getting a job in Costa Rica, it's much easier if you do it when you're here. So I took the course, and I had made a bunch of phone calls, sent a bunch of emails, but nobody really replied. So once the course ended, I road tripped to every school I could possibly find, and I just stopped and gave them my resume and talked to them. And by the end of that week, I had a job.
Wow.
And TEFL is the English speaking course?
Yeah, it's like a teaching English as a foreign language course. So
Okay.
it helps me understand how to teach people when they don't speak English.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it kind of prepared me a little bit for the job that I was taking, even though there were some English speakers, because I got a job at a private school, and they had a lot of expats from the United States, and so they spoke English, but I did have a bunch of Costa Ricans. I had a girl from Venezuela. I had a girl from Argentina, and they didn't speak any English. So the TEFL course prepared me on how to help them learn English.
So do you have to speak Spanish?
I don't have to. Depending on how the classroom is set up, you can use pictures, you can use hand signals, you can use all different types of things so that you don't normally. And they're kids, so it's a little bit different. When I teach adults, I do tend to use Spanish. I do translate a little bit from Spanish because it's easier, because adults, their brains work differently.
Yeah.
Than children, but most children, it was second grade, and so a lot of them picked up on the English really, really quickly, even just by listening, because Spanish and English, there are a lot of words that are very similar.
Yeah.
A lot of words that are actually the same.
Nice.
So you just like hold up a picture of banana, and you're like, banana.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's cool.
Yep.
So do you have to, I know you said that you had an education background, but do you have to have that to get involved in this, or what do you need to teach online?
Well, I was in a actual school. Now I teach online, which is what I transitioned to teaching online so that I could travel more, because I couldn't travel very much. I only had the times off for the school to travel when I was at the school. So I switched to online teaching. And with both of them, you really can have a background in anything as long as you have the TEFL certification.
Okay.
So you do have to have a bachelor's degree of some sort, but it could be a bachelor's degree in everything. Like I have a friend that has a bachelor's degree in sports and fitness. And so, but she has a TEFL degree, so she is still able to teach.
Very cool.
cool.
That is awesome. What do you feel like you've gained from living overseas versus and like moving away versus being here and staying where you were?
Oh, wow. A lot of things. I've learned patience. That is probably my biggest thing. I've learned patience and slowing down because here in Costa Rica, people are late all the time. And I mean like half an hour late. They'll tell you, I'm almost there. And I think, okay, I'm almost there, like 1-2 minutes. They won't be there for half an hour.
Yep.
Like, and
That sounds like Nicole.
Hey. Not true.
I'm teasing.
and I'm a very punctual person. Like I'm normally 15 minutes early to everything.
Ah.
And if I've never been there before, then I'm a half an hour early. And so I've had to learn to just be patient and not get frustrated when somebody is late or they tell me they're coming and they don't show up on time.
Yeah.
Especially when you have an appointment that you have to go to.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. And slowing down, that also has helped me to slow down because I'm not in a hurry to go anywhere. Nobody is in a hurry here. Like, it's pura vida here. I'll get there when I get there. Like, Hakuna Matata. Like, it's just very, like, no worries. It's fine. Like, and it's just, like, when I had gotten a work visa when I was working at the school, and it took me a year to get it.
Wow.
Because it just doesn't make sense. Like I don't understand. They would give me some information and then I would go give them that information and then they would be like, okay, well, we need this information and you need to pay us more money. And I'm like, couldn't you have just told me all of this up front and then I would have been done? Because every time I submitted it, it took 3 months. So it wound up taking like 6 months for the first 2 sets of information, and then some of it I had a little mishap, so it took a little bit longer for me. And I'm like, couldn't you have just given me this information up front? And so for me, I was just like learning, okay, just go with it. For some reason, they have a process this way, so I'm just going to accept it and go with it because there's nothing I can do about it.
Right. That's a good way to look at it, for sure. So now that you don't work at the school, do you still have a visa in another fashion, or how does that work?
I just have my tourist visa, so I have to leave the country every 90 days. So I can just go to Nicaragua or I can go to Panama. But I kind of like that because then I can use the opportunity to go somewhere new. And so this next 30 days, I have to go back to Washington, D.C. because my sister's getting married. But my other 30 days will be in May, and I plan on going to Panama.
Oh.
Because I've never been to Panama before, and since I'm starting a new business, I don't really have money to go elsewhere, so I'm going to take a trip to Panama. So I'm really excited about that. I've heard some really nice things about Panama.
So all you have to do is leave every 90 days? Is there a period of time, or?
No, you just leave and come back over. Like the last time I went to Nicaragua, I left Costa Rica, I entered Nicaragua, I exited Nicaragua, I had lunch, and then I re-entered Costa Rica.
Wow.
Interesting.
That's
And that passes legally?
Yes.
And you're on a tourist visa then, or what?
A tourist visa.
And so you can
They
just
give
keep
it.
re-upping it like forever?
Yeah, I know a guy who did it for 14 years,
Wow.
And he just left every 90 days and came
and they
back?
just left every 90 days and came back. Yet
Interesting.
That is really cool. It's
there are
kind of
different ways to get visas. You can get different visas here, but they're kind of costly. I mean, you can get married to a Tico, but it's like a 3-year process.
A
And
Tico.
yeah, that's what they call Costa Rican men. They're Ticos,
Tico.
and
Interesting.
the women are Ticas. And so, like, you can marry a Tico, you can have a child here. It doesn't have to be with the Tico as long as you have, if you just have your baby in Costa Rica, no matter who it's with, then you can apply for residency. You can retire here. So as long as you have like a minimum of $2,000 coming from a certain retirement account from the United States, then you can move here. You can buy property that's, I think, $200,000 or more, or you can open a business. And then I also heard that there's another one that you can do, and it's good for 2 years, and you have to put $2,000 worth of money for 2 years. So 12 months times 2 is 24 times 2,000, however much money that is, you'd have to put into a bank account.
okay.
So you got your eyes on any Ticas?
A Tico, yes, I do. Actually, it's quite funny. We actually talked about it the other day. We talked about getting married just so that I can get my visa.
Oh, okay.
Because not only would it help me, it would help him because he is a photographer and he is trying to get a bank loan. And if I was a resident here, then he can use my income on his bank loan, and it would be more beneficial for him to get a bank loan. So it would be like a
Oh, that's
win-win
cool.
for both of us.
Yeah,
So it'd be like a business arrangement then.
Yeah, and like it would be awesome because if he can get the things that he wants for this business, then he can be my photographer and I can just pay him to travel around with me, and then he could be my like specific photographer for all my Instagram and Facebook stuff.
Interesting.
That is a good little connection there.
Yep.
And how did you meet him?
Actually on Tinder.
Nice. That is awesome. See, good things come out of that.
It does,
Sometimes.
yeah. You have to be very careful with Tinder though, because Tinder
Yeah.
here is very different here than in Costa Rica, than in the States.
Oh.
It's different. I've heard some very bad things. I have not experienced it, but I've heard from other people.
Like you're saying it's worse there than it
Yeah.
is here?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Ooh, that's bad. This is bad
Yeah.
here.
But I've never experienced that. I've been on Tinder, I think, 3 times since I've been here, and I've never ran into any of these issues that I've heard from other people.
That's
So,
good. That's awesome.
yeah.
Very cool. So, how often are you working? So when you're doing this online school, is it like all day or is it pick your hours? Like how long are you doing that for?
I work for 2 different companies. So I work for a Chinese company and I teach Chinese students. And that one I work Saturday. I work every day except for Sunday. So Monday through Saturday, I work
Okay.
5 a.m. to 7 a.m. But you don't have to work that much. It just depends on how much money you want to make and how much money you need to live. So for me, I do those amount of times, but I can change it whenever I want to, as long as I give them a week's notice. So like I have to let them know Tuesday before. So like when I go to the States for my sister's wedding, I'm taking off Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday because I'm doing a whole bunch of wedding things and I don't want to worry about it, so I won't work those days.
That makes sense.
Is it VIP Kid?
No, it's actually New ABC. VIP Kid is very is very competitive, and I tried it, but it's just very competitive, and the students choose the teachers. So there's a ton of teachers, like thousands of teachers. So I feel like if you come in late in the game, sometimes you don't get as many students. And
Gotcha.
with new ABC, they provide the students for me.
Okay.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. And then the second company I work for is actually Cambly, and I really like it. They don't pay that much, but I can choose the hours I want to work. I normally work Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday for about 6 hours each day, but I can change it whenever I want. I could do, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I could do 2 hours each day or 3 hours, whatever I want. I can change it up to 12 hours before my class. And I love that job because I literally just talk to people about whatever. The other day, this guy from Saudi Arabia um, called me from his car, and he spent a half an hour talking to me about Uber because he drives for Uber, and he's sitting in his car out front of the airport waiting for an Uber request. And so he talked to me for a half an hour until he got an Uber request, and then he left. I didn't really say very much because he just wanted to talk about Uber.
Oh.
And I got paid for it. And then there was another guy I talked to for an hour about Netflix movies and Netflix documentaries and Netflix series. So I have a whole bunch of Netflix movies that I just added to my list to watch. And I got paid for it.
That is wonderful.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned too that you're like starting another business. What's that business that you're investing in?
It's a travel coaching business. I love traveling, and I love sharing my enthusiasm with women, and I want women to live fearless lives. And so I'm creating a travel coaching business to help women travel fearlessly, whether that's by themselves or with their family or whatever it is. I just want them to go out and experience the world and not have any fear, because there are actually quite a lot of people who are scared to travel. Like my mom won't even leave the United States. She doesn't like to get on an airplane unless it's an absolute emergency and she can't drive there. And I'm part of a couple of Facebook groups, and a lot of them are like, I'm about to go on this trip and I'm so scared. I want to cancel the trip. Like, can you help me? And so there's actually like a need to help people feel comfortable, whether it's me planning the event for them, or whether it's me just coaching them through the fear, because I took a couple of life coaching courses, and a lot of the stuff that I learned in the life coaching courses I can use to help people overcome their fear of traveling.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
So how are you going to build your like clientele from that? Where are you looking for people to reach out to?
Currently, I'm using Instagram. I'm finding Instagram is my main source because I can put pictures, and then I can, in the captions, I can just talk about it, and I can ask questions, and I can create conversations. So I'm starting with Instagram, and I also have a Facebook group, a Facebook page. And so I'm trying to get people from my Instagram to my Facebook page. And then in my Facebook page, I'm thinking about doing like a group and having like a free course that is geared towards helping people get outside of their comfort zone, with just doing things around in their neighborhood. I mean, when people like what's comfortable, so they go to the same restaurant, they go to the same grocery store, they go to the same movie theater, they go to the same things that they always go to. And so one of the things that I found that helps you get outside your comfort zone and makes it easier to travel is to go to a different grocery store or going to a different restaurant or going to a different movie theater just to experience something new because it's scary. And when they do it near their house, it makes them a little bit more comfortable and they can gain the confidence that they need to leave. So I want to create a program that is based on that.
I always tell people that. I always say that, when you go to a new place, even going to the grocery store is an adventure.
Yes.
So everything is so new and exciting. So even mundane things seem fun,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what do you think that like solo travel and like doing these explorations for people, what do you think that gives them that like maybe regular just vacations with your family do not?
It definitely gives you a sense of confidence. I know for me, I took a trip to Chile and I actually got robbed while I was in Chile. So I didn't have a passport, I didn't have any money. All I had was my phone because everything else got stolen.
Wow.
And it was scary. I had no idea what I was going to do. It was a Friday and I was leaving on Monday and the embassy wasn't open. So I had to figure out how to transfer my flight and or to move my flight to a different day. And I had to figure out how I was going to pay for my passport because you have to pay for a passport. You can't just go and be like, look, I don't have any money. Give me a free passport. Like they make you pay for it somehow.
Right.
And I had actually found a friend of mine in Chile. And so they met me and they helped me out and stuff. But it was one of the scariest things that I had ever been through. But when I got done and once I got back home, I was like, man, I can accomplish anything. Like, I don't know, when you travel, most people when they go on vacation, they go to a hotel and maybe it's an all-inclusive, but they spend a lot of time in their hotel and they do touristy things. And so, yes, it gets you out of your comfort zone, but the way that I travel and the way that I want to encourage other people to travel is talking to locals. I hitchhike sometimes. I wouldn't do that everywhere, but I hitchhike sometimes. And there's a lot of things that I do when I travel that gets me to understand the country I'm in. So it opens up a whole new spectrum and idea of how to live and how to live your life. Like if you get robbed in Chile and you come through it and you're calm and you're at peace and you're like, you know what, there's no point in worrying about this. I can't do anything about it till Monday. So I'm not going to do anything about it till Monday. I'm just going to focus on being here. Then that never leaves you. You will always have that with you. So if you're back at home and you're in your job and something happens, you can remember back to that time. Oh, I don't need to worry about it. It's okay. It's all going to work out. And that's what I really want to show people, and I really want people to realize is how much you can learn about yourself and how much you can grow as a person and be more open-minded and more accepting of other people and accepting of other situations.
That's what I always do too, is I always try to encourage everybody to like immerse themselves in other cultures. And that's how you really grow as a person. And that's kind of why we do this show, to encourage people to get out there and get outside your comfort zone and immerse yourself in that experience. And it's really where you find yourself expanding.
Yeah, for sure. And you're not just going to be, you're going to grow for sure. And you're going to be like, look, I survived this.
And it really wasn't that bad,
Yeah.
And so now when something worse comes up, you're like, I can do this because I did that.
Yeah, right.
Yes, for sure.
For sure. I love that. And I think that that's a lesson that a lot of people are striving to feel in their life. So I think that would be great for people who are listeners. Like, what advice also do you have for our listeners that maybe are interested in living this type of lifestyle? Maybe they are interested in leaving the fiance at home, starting over somewhere else, and, just doing what ultimately is going to make them happy, kind of no matter what sacrifices that might mean. What advice do you have? Because I know a lot of people are kind of on the line. They might be in limbo. They might be like, well, kind of, I want to, but what about this? They always have the but this. What is your advice to them to kind of get their feet going and off the ground?
Just do it. Like, just book the trip or get, like, some people don't even have a passport. Like, just go and start the process for your passport. Like, find something little that you can do. Like, I've actually inspired quite a lot of people to do this. There's been a really good friend of mine. I met her 2 years ago. She kept trying to come to Costa Rica,
Mm-hmm.
like, for years, and she couldn't do it. Like, she booked the trip, she started doing it, and then all of a sudden she started talking to me and she's like, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make it happen. And she booked the trip and she moved to Costa Rica for 6 months. And she and I are really good friends. Since then, she went solo to Thailand and China for a month and a half. And so just do it. Just book the flight or get the certification or whatever it is that you need, but also find a community of people who have similar goals. Like, she probably would not have had the confidence to do it if she wouldn't have seen me living and the way that I've done it. And so, like, and that's what's inspired me. Like, I have a lot of friends and I'm part of Facebook groups and I'm part of, I follow people on Instagram and I'm like, wow, they do this. I can do that too. So having the support group to do it, because our families are not going to want it to happen. Fortunately, my mom is very understanding of me and she's like, yeah, this is you. And I know you've always been wanting to do this since you were a kid. My dad, on the other hand, he does not understand it.
Well, I was going to say the same thing too. I was going to go, there's a Facebook group for literally everything now.
So true.
Yeah.
So whatever you want to do, whatever you want to get out there and do, I guarantee you can find a Facebook group and there's other people that are out there doing the same thing that you want to do and you can find encouragement through that.
You can. I mean, you can join my Facebook group. There's Girls Love Travel. There's Girls Who Travel. There's tons of Facebook groups out there that will give you the support. You can ask questions. It's a community, so it makes it really nice to be able to have that. Because once you make it and you have all of these people, they're gonna want you to keep going because they know how amazing it is to just get up and go. There's a lot of women who are like, I just broke up with my boyfriend. I'm about to go on this solo trip by myself. I've never done it before, but I'm going to Bali. Like, where should I go? Where's the best place to stay? And like, there, you will get hundreds of recommendations from people because they're like, go, awesome, like, I've done this, this is my place, I found myself here. And it's pretty amazing.
For sure. Yeah. I know that also there's probably days where like even after you start, so say you do have that go moment and you just do it, there's probably still days that feel like, am I doing the right thing or can I really do this? And I'm sure those groups can be helpful at that point too. When you're in
Yes.
the midst of that month long trip somewhere and you're like, wait, I kind of do miss this. Like, just having that support of people who are doing it too would probably be
Yeah, and
nice.
I go through that myself. Like, even though I travel a lot and I still live here, there's times where I'm thinking in my head, man, should I move back to the United States? Like, you know, because sometimes, like, you have health problems. I was the first year that I was here, I had health problems every week, and I kept going to the doctors, and like, I have had all these health issues, and I'm like, man, maybe I should go back to the States because I have health insurance in the States. I don't have health insurance here. Like, how's that gonna work? And after the first year, it was fine. But I also found out a lot of things about my health that I'd
Mm-hmm.
been going to the States for years. And they
Yeah.
couldn't give me any answers. And then I'm here and they're like, oh, this is what you have. This is your problem. And this is how you fix it.
Oh, wow.
And so, like, sometimes having health problems in another country can be very beneficial because it's much different than in the States. Like, I feel like in the States, a lot of times they're just after your money, or they're just like,
Yeah.
oh, take this, 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 And in Costa Rica, they actually have a really good health system here. I've had LASIK surgery here on my eyes. I had a cyst removed actually in Nicaragua, and I feel like I got much better service. Like my doctor is on WhatsApp. I just WhatsApp my doctor any problem. He responds within 15 minutes.
That is
I mean,
That's pretty
awesome.
neat, actually. Yeah.
that doesn't happen in the States.
No.
Right.
They put in barriers to make sure you can't talk to your doctor.
I know, right? So, like, there's a lot of benefits to having, health issues or having, depending on which country you go to. I mean, I specifically chose Costa Rica because I do know that they have a good health system. It is close to home, because there are a lot of places that they have no health system whatsoever. So if you get sick, you need to make sure that you have emergency care where they'll cover the flight of a helicopter out, because there is no non-existent healthcare. Like I had a friend that got burnt when she was in the jungle, the rainforest or the jungle in South America, the big huge one. I can't remember what it's
the
called.
Amazon?
Yeah, she was in the middle of the Amazon and she got burnt on a motorcycle, the tailpipe of the motorcycle, and there was no doctor anywhere near. So they had like this shaman lady come and put a whole bunch of stuff on her thing, on her burn, and it wound up getting really bad and it was worse. So now she has like this huge scar and she had to go to the doctors. She actually had to go to an actual doctor for stuff. So that is one thing that I would recommend is when you're going somewhere, definitely research the medical stuff, because stuff does happen and you want to be prepared, whether or not it's having emergency medical assistance, if you need to be flown out or anything like that. That is one of my things, because you do get sick and things do happen.
So how about health insurance in Costa Rica? What do you do? Can you get it? How much is it? Do you know much about it?
Yeah, well, they have a public health system here. So if you are a resident or if you have a work visa, then you can join the Caja and you pay into the Caja and then you can go. But I found that you can be waiting a very, very, very long time to get anything done unless you're dying. Then they might help you. But
so like even if you got a cold or something, you got to wait a long time, or like
yeah,
what do you?
you have to wait.
Everything
Unless
you
you
got to
get
wait.
there, everything you got to wait. That's in the public health system. They do have a private health system that is really, really good. They have different private hospitals that you can go to. I actually pay $12 a month and I get discounted health insurance through a specific hospital or a specific network of hospitals and doctors. And so it's cheaper. Like for me to go and get a gynecological exam, it's about $60 for everything.
That
in
seems
the
pretty
States,
reasonable.
yeah, it's not bad at all. And like to go and see a doctor, like if I get sick and I have the flu, there's a doctor's office right up the street and it costs me about $10 to see the doctor.
So all of the stuff that you've gone to has all been on the private healthcare side, or have you done any
Yes.
public?
No. When I went to Nicaragua, I had to get emergency surgery while I was in Nicaragua, which is the country north of Costa Rica.
Mm-hmm.
And I used their public health system in Nicaragua, and it cost me $200. That includes the 2-hour taxi ride to the hospital. The taxi guy waited 4 hours and then 2 hours back.
Wow.
That includes the medicine as well that I got. And it's pretty much free there, but you want to give the doctor a little bit of something, because $50 can go a long way in Nicaragua. So if you just give the doctor $50 or $75, you'll get through pretty fast and you'll be guaranteed to have a good job. Like you'll be set.
Well taken care of, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good tip right there.
Yeah, it was about $200 for everything.
Tip
All
your
of
doctor.
that. Yep. Everything
Yes.
if I had that same surgery in the States, it would probably cost upwards of $8,000 or $9,000.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
heard that a
At
lot.
least.
You can get a lot of screenings and procedures done overseas a lot cheaper than here, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, LASIK surgery, it was $3,000 for LASIK surgery here. And in the States, it would cost me like 6 or 7,000 for LASIK surgery.
Wow.
So you live in an
Yeah.
apartment there or what?
Yeah, I live in a 2-bedroom apartment.
So tell us a little bit about your apartment and how much that cost, just for
Um,
reference.
it's about it's $400, but it all depends on the money exchange because I pay in Costa Rican colones. So sometimes it's a little bit more, sometimes it's a little bit less, but it's about $400 for my rent. It's about $10 for water. It's about $80 for electricity, but that varies depending on how much you use the air condition. I use it a lot, so it's about
Yeah.
$80. And I pay Wi-Fi, and Wi-Fi is about $40.
Okay.
Wow.
And I live 2 minutes from the beach.
That's what I was going to say. You're 2 minutes from the beach, huh?
So that's
Yeah,
about
just walking.
less than $600.
Sounds
Per
pretty
month.
nice, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super nice. And so I was living by myself and I could afford to do it on my salary, but I'm like, I want to travel a little bit more and I have a dog. And plus, like, I'm like, it would be nice to have someone that can watch my dog, someone that's always at the house that can watch the house. And so I got a roommate. And so now I pay about half of everything because my roommate pays the
Nice.
other half.
Even better.
Right. And so I have more money to do other things. And so it's pretty nice. And then I always have someone at the house because, if somebody knows that you're not there, like it's not a gated community, which they do have in Costa Rica. But where I'm living is not a gated community. So if somebody knows I'm not going to be there for a month, they could easily come in and rob me, even though there's really nothing in my house except for clothes because I got rid of everything before I moved there.
Yeah.
And everything that would be expensive would be with me, like my laptop or my phone would be with me because I need them to work.
So do you have like a television or anything?
No, because I just watch Netflix on my computer.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Do they have like regular cable service there? I guess you could probably get direct TV or something, I guess.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, you can cable just very easily. This is my third apartment. My first 2 apartments had TVs and they had cable provided. I didn't even need to pay for it.
Oh,
Wow.
okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love the idea
Yeah.
of having the roommate so that you can travel more, like just giving up a little bit of creature comfort to get that extra experiences and things like that. That's something that is very powerful.
And the roommate is American, Costa Rican? What?
Yeah, he's from California.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
He teaches online with Cambly, one of the companies that I work for. He works for the same company. We met through our the TEFL certification that I got on. That I got my TEFL certification through the company has a massive alumni. There's a lot of people that have taken it. So they have a Costa Rican Facebook group. They have a Thailand Facebook group. They have an online teaching Facebook group. They have any Facebook group that you can think of. And you can join these Facebook groups and you can reach out to people who live there. And so he had reached out on this Facebook group and I had replied. He was living in San Jose in the city and he was like, look, I'm looking to get out of the city. I don't want to live in the city. Like, where can I go? And he was just going to come and stay with me for a month or 2 until he found another apartment, but it just worked out so well that he's just going to stay there for a while.
And what city are you in again?
We're in Brasilito. It's near Tamarindo.
That's awesome. So
it's on the Pacific coast.
Okay.
So what do you think about families maybe trying out this lifestyle? Do you think it would work for people, with fiancés or children or anything?
Yeah, I know a lot of people that actually do it. When I was just starting out, I was trying to do VIP Kid, and the girl that introduced me to VIP Kid, her and her husband actually do VIP Kid full time, and they were living here with I think they had 2 kids.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Some countries are a little bit cheaper. Costa Rica is one of the more expensive Central American countries, but there are a lot of countries, especially in Bali or Southeast Asia or in South America, that are pretty cheap. So you can live on a decent or a smaller salary than you would be able to in the States and be able to provide for your family. And it also depends on how much you want to eat out and how much you save before you move.
So you get paid in American money?
I do. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I wonder, in that case, like, would you still just get the same visas for your kids and things like that, and they would just travel out every 90 days with you?
Yeah, that's what a lot of people do. There's a lot of expat in Tamarindo. There's a lot of expats, and some of them teach online. Some of them have found jobs here. Some of them are more wealthy, and so they opened up a business here. Some people work for American companies, but they are able to work from home, so they just make their home here in Costa Rica. And since you make dollars, a lot of times it is it's better. But in Tamarindo, it's more expensive in Tamarindo because there are a lot of what the Costa Ricans call gringas, a lot of white people. So it's a little bit more expensive. The town that I live in is very much local. A lot of the people in my town don't speak English, so it's a little bit more cheaper.
Okay.
Like in Tamarindo, for a 2-bedroom apartment where my house is, would probably cost either $800 or $900 a month just for rent.
Okay.
So you're getting back up to where it's pretty expensive again then? Or fairly comparable to the States, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said you can purchase property as a way to get a visa. So you don't have to be a citizen to purchase property at all, I'm guessing?
No. Yeah, you can purchase property. You can buy a business. You don't have to be a resident. The one guy, I told you he was coming and going for 14 years. He owned a business here, but he never felt like going through the process of becoming a resident. So he owned a business for 14 years. He just sold it recently, and he just left the country every 90 days.
Very interesting.
Nicole has $200,000 burning a hole in her pocket, so she's thinking about coming and buying some land.
Well, I'm just curious for people who might want to just, like, if they don't feel like, continuing leaving, can they just, if they can just purchase property, if they sell their home here and purchase
Yeah. And you could definitely do that.
Because property is pretty expensive in the U.S. So if you own a decent piece of property in the U.S., then you could meet that threshold.
The other thing I was wondering about too is childcare is so expensive here in the States. Do you know, like, since you don't have kids, you might not know, but kind of what the pricing is for it there? Is it relatively high still, or?
It depends. It depends on what you want. If you want an American expat to babysit your kids, then it's going to be about the same price as it is in the States.
Yeah.
But if you want a local that doesn't speak any English to watch your child, then you could probably get it for about $200 a month. But then you would also have to pay into their caja, and you would also have to pay at the end of the year. You get basically an end of the year bonus. So in December, everybody gets basically 2 paychecks, and you have to be able to pay that. So there's it's a little bit tricky, but it's roughly probably around like $200 or $300 a month, which is way cheaper than in the States.
I was reading an article today, and they were talking about the cost that things have gone up in the U.S. since 2002. And from 2002 to now, the thing that went up the absolute most was childcare, and it has gone up 273% since 2002.
Yeah, I believe it.
And I was blown away by that number. I was like, that's insane.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It is
part
insane.
of the reason why I don't want kids. They're expensive.
Yep.
For sure.
We feel you on that.
Yeah. And then you think you're out of the childcare paying stage. You're like, oh, I'm going to save so much money. Half my paycheck's not going to childcare, but somehow it still does.
It still does.
Yeah.
Kids eat a lot too.
They do.
Yep. They
Yeah,
do.
they have a lot of needs.
They're needy.
But you gotta love them, though.
Just go get a job or something. Come on.
Yeah. No, I mean, childcare is expensive, and I think that's something maybe that a lot of people would be interested in saving
I just couldn't
money
believe
on.
that was the highest one. I thought maybe it'd be like transportation or something like that. That was like the highest by like far. It was like 40% higher than like everything else. So we are moving on to our segments now. The first segment would be Don't Do That. And the Don't Do That is a segment about what something that travel mistake that you made somewhere that you can share with our listeners so they don't make the same mistake as you.
Oh my goodness. Well, specifically for Costa Rica, and it's probably for a lot of countries too, but don't cross the street when a car is coming because they won't stop. Like, you do not have the right of way like you do in the United States. If you're crossing the street, you do not have the right of way as a pedestrian here in Costa Rica. They will not stop.
So you have to find a crosswalk or you just don't cross the street?
There are no crosswalks. You just have to be very careful when you cross the street.
Interesting.
Risk it.
Risky, yeah.
You have to risk it. You have to run. Like, yeah. Or you have to just sit there and wait until there's no cars coming. But yeah, it's not fun. I mean, since there are a lot of expats here, there are a lot of expats from the United States. They will stop for you just because they're used to it from the States.
Yeah.
But Costa Ricans will not stop for you.
So wear a helmet.
They'll
is
just
what
run
I'm
you
hearing.
over, huh?
Yeah, they will. Or they'll come very, very close to hitting you. Also, here in Costa Rica, another thing that I did not know, if you're renting a car or you're driving a car or something and you get into a car accident, you are not allowed to move your car.
Interesting.
Like, even if you're blocking the entire road, you cannot move your car until the police tell you it's okay.
So they can do an investigation, I assume?
Yeah, and they can take pictures and do whatever they have to do. I don't know, but you can get in trouble if you get into a car accident and you move the car without waiting for the police.
Wow.
So speaking of that, do you have a Costa Rican driver's license?
I do, actually.
Is it very hard to get, or how was that process?
You have to have a work permit or you have to be a permanent resident. So I got mine when I had my work permit.
Oh.
Good to know.
So as a travel visa, you're just renting a car then, or you can't get a driver's license, or?
You can rent a car using your driver's license in the States.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So do you own a car there?
No, but I'm working on getting one.
Gotcha. Okay. Are cars cheaper, more expensive, about the same?
They're definitely more expensive.
More expensive. Okay.
Yes. Like, to get a car that's like 15 years old or 20 years old, it's like $6,000 for an SUV that's like 15 or 20 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
So bring your own car with you?
No, because then it's even more expensive because I thought about doing that. But anything that is imported into Costa Rica has a very high import tax. So TVs, cell phones, electronics, not like Doritos or Cheetos or anything that is American or imported from outside of Costa Rica is way more expensive.
Even if you're bringing your own stuff that you already own?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, well, it depends on what it is. Like, so I just took a trip to Kansas to visit my mom, and I came back with a whole suitcase and a half. And the stuff that I brought in with me, they didn't charge me for it. Like, I brought Twizzlers. You can't get Twizzlers here.
Oh.
And I know this is really strange. I don't know if I should say it, but condoms are actually really crappy here, and they're really expensive.
Interesting.
So it's easier to buy them in bulk in the States and bring them back. So I brought like 2 boxes back, and I brought like a bunch of Twizzlers back and a whole bunch of other stuff, and they don't charge me on it. But if you ship things like a car, or like if I was trying to bring a TV, they would definitely charge me for the TV.
But like, what if you drove a car all the way down, like through Mexico, like all the way down?
You can do that, but you can only keep it here for 90 days. And the
Oh,
car does not have the same visa things as me. So like even if I drove it down here for 90 days and then decided to go to Nicaragua with my car, if I decided to bring it back, I'd still have to pay taxes because you only get a certain amount of time with the car, and then after that you have to pay taxes.
huh.
Interesting.
That's
Yeah,
very
They make it
interesting.
tricky.
Yeah, there's a lot of
they
rules to
do.
know. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
don't walk in the street.
Don't walk in the street. Don't bring a car. No
Good to know.
Twizzlers.
Oh, I know that was so sad. I
Well,
love
you can bring your Twizzlers. You just have to pack them in the. You have to pack them in your suitcase.
Twizzlers and rubbers.
Yep.
Sounds like a great one.
That's funny.
All right.
All right. Moving on to the final segment. Today's Hidden Gem. And that is a segment where you tell us all about a place that is off the beaten path that our listeners could go and try to check out to see on a trip if they're in the area.
Wow. It's funny. So I have this place and it's off the beaten path, but I can't tell you where it is.
It's so beaten.
It's so off the beaten path you can't find it.
You can't find it. You have to have a local tour guide get you there. It's the most beautiful experience ever. So like I think it took us about 2 hours to walk there, but we stopped a bunch in between. So like there's three different like I don't know what you would call them, but like big pools of water in the river, and you could just jump in, or dive in off of the rock and just swim in the water. And so we did that 3 times, and we spent a whole bunch of time in each one of them. And then we got to this other area, and there's a waterfall. But in order to get to the waterfall, you have to swim, and the current is going the opposite direction. So you have to be a very, very good swimmer to get there. I am not, and neither is my friend. So my best friend's boyfriend, he swam all the way to the other side, and he had a rope. So he would throw us the rope, and I would hold on to the rope, and he would pull me through the current.
Oh my
And
gosh.
then once you get to the other side, it's like this cave, and in this cave is this beautiful, beautiful waterfall. And it's an amazing, it's amazing because you're going in and out of the river. You're definitely going to get your feet wet. The water is kind of like a celeste blue, like a sky blue, and it's just absolutely amazing. But I cannot tell you how to get there because it's ridiculous. But it's near Liberia.
Liberia?
Liberia,
Liberia.
Yeah. They don't pronounce the B as a B. They pronounce it as a V.
Okay.
Liberia.
Yeah.
So if you're ever in Liberia,
Call Ashley.
call Ashley and she can give you vague directions to a waterfall that may or may not be there.
To a hidden gem.
I have pictures, so I have proof.
I have proof. That's awesome.
Yeah. But I know at least two guys that are tour guides that can take you.
Very cool.
So as long as we find a tour guide, we're good.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds awesome. So yeah, if our listeners do want to, check out your Facebook page or your travel coaching information, or just ask you more questions about moving and becoming an expat,
Where the waterfall is.
or the waterfall, where can they find you?
You can find me on Facebook at Girl Go Travel Now, or on Instagram at girl_go travel now.
Okay, that's perfect.
And we'll stick that in our show notes if anybody wants to go find her.
Okay, awesome. Eventually, once I have more of a following and stuff like that, I will probably open up a website too.
Very cool.
We
Love
don't even
it.
have a website yet, so we don't
Yeah.
blame you. We're working on it, but we don't have it open yet.
Yeah.
It takes a while, for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that. That was a great information and just a great inspiring story that we can all kind of go and do it.
And now we all feel prepared to go to Costa Rica.
Yeah.
Costa Rica.
We're ready. Here we come. Are you ready for us all?
We'll call you when we get there.
Sounds good.
She's like, no, don't come
I
here and
have
ruin it.
an extra bedroom.
Ooh.
Where's the roommate going to be?
I don't know. Well, my neighbor actually, she doesn't have a roommate, so my roommate can go to my neighbor's house.
Oh,
Yeah.
even better.
Kick them out. We're ready.
So now we get to go to Panama and Costa Rica.
All right.
Right.
That's awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Ashley. We really appreciate you coming on and giving us all your time. So this was
Thank
awesome.
you so much. It was really awesome. It's my first podcast, so I'm so excited.
Yay! Congratulations.
Check it off the list.
Check it off the list.
Love it. All right.
Hopefully, this is the first of many.
Right? Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Yep.
Definitely.
That's how you spread your word. You got to get
That's
yourself
right.
out there.
Yep. That is true.
Very cool. All righty.
All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. That, my friends, was the wonderful Miss Ashley Sprinkle. And if you want to learn more about Costa Rica, go check her out. I think I want to go. I think she sold me on it. So I don't know about the rest of you guys out there, but I think I'm sold. So again, as always, if you can go out there and like us, follow us, leave us a review on iTunes or anywhere else you find podcasts out there in the world, we would really appreciate it. That's how we grow. And that's all I got for right now. So we'll see you next week.